Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Thompson. I'm a 28-year-old graphic designer, and up until recently, I thought I had it all. I had a cozy home in the suburbs, a handsome husband named Ethan, and a picture-perfect life. At least, that's how it looked on the outside. Ethan and I had been married for 3 years, and I really believed we were living the dream. But you know how people say love is blind? That was me. I was so caught up in the idea of our perfect life that I didn't notice the cracks starting to show. Olivia, did you reorganize my desk again? Ethan would ask, sounding a little irritated. I just thought it would help you find things easier, I'd reply, trying to keep things peaceful. I had a system, don't touch my stuff without asking next time, he'd snap. It started with small things like that, little comments here and there. Ethan always wanted to know where I was or who I was talking to, but I brushed it off, thinking it was just his way of caring. Then, there was my mother-in-law, Margaret. Oh, Margaret, where do I even start? Olivia, dear, don't you think it's time you focused more on keeping a proper home? She'd say during her weekly visits, glancing at the pile of sketches on my desk. I'm working on a big project, Margaret, the house is clean enough. Well, I suppose if you think so, but don't you agree that Ethan deserves a tidy home to come back to? She'd add, making me grit my teeth. I'd just nod and try to keep the peace for Ethan's sake, but it wasn't easy. Thank goodness for my best friend, Zoe. She's a kick-ass lawyer who always had my back. Liv, you know you don't have to put up with Margaret's nonsense, right? She'd tell me during our coffee dates. I know, but it's important to Ethan. I want to make it work. Zoe would give me that look, part concern, part girl, you're crazy. My parents, Jack and Linda, were always my support system. When things got tough, I knew I could count on them. Sweetie, are you sure everything's okay with Ethan? Mom would ask during Sunday dinners. It's fine, Mom, we're just adjusting. Dad would squeeze my hand, his eyes full of worry. You know you can always come home if you need to, right? I'd laugh it off and tell them everything was fine, but deep down, I wondered if they could see something I couldn't. Then, the day came when I found out I was pregnant. I was thrilled. I really thought this would bring Ethan and me closer, maybe even make Margaret a bit softer toward me. Ethan, I have amazing news, I said, bursting into his study, holding the pregnancy test. He looked up from his computer, his face unreadable. What is it, Olivia? I'm kind of busy. I'm pregnant, we're going to have a baby. For just a moment, I saw something flash across his face. Was it joy? Or maybe panic? I couldn't quite tell what Ethan was feeling, but then he smiled, stood up, and hugged me. That's wonderful, honey, he said, though his tone didn't quite match his words. I tried to push away the nagging feeling inside. This was supposed to be a happy moment, right? Things would get better now, at least, that's what I thought. Oh, how wrong I was. I figured that telling everyone about the baby would make things better, but I was way off. When I told Ethan's mother, Margaret, the news, her reaction was as cold as an Alaskan winter. Oh, well, I suppose congratulations are in order, she said, her lips tight like she'd just tasted something sour. I do hope you're ready for this, Olivia. Motherhood isn't for the faint of heart. I forced a smile, trying to hide how disappointed I felt. I'm sure, with family support, we'll manage just fine. Margaret just huffed and muttered something about modern women thinking they can have it all. As the weeks passed, Ethan became more distant. He'd come home late, barely say a word to me, and spent his weekends with his mother instead of helping me get ready for the baby. One night, I finally confronted him. Ethan, can we talk? I feel like you've been avoiding me lately. He barely looked up from his phone. What? No, I've just been busy with work. You're being oversensitive. Oversensitive? Ethan, I'm pregnant with your child, and you're acting like I don't even exist. He finally put his phone down, but his eyes were cold. Look, Olivia, I'm doing my best here. What more do you want from me? Tears started to fill my eyes. I want my husband back. I want us to be excited about this baby together. Ethan just sighed and walked out of the room, leaving me feeling more alone than ever. Things reached a breaking point one evening when I overheard Ethan and Margaret talking in hushed voices in the kitchen. My heart pounded as I crept closer to listen. Mom, I don't know what to do. I never wanted kids, you know that, Ethan was saying. Margaret's voice was sharp. Well, it's too late for that now, isn't it? Unless what? Ethan asked. Unless we find a way to get rid of her, Margaret suggested. I gasped, shocked by what I was hearing. Without thinking, I burst into the kitchen, startling them both. "Get rid of me? Is that what you want, Ethan?" I shouted, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. Ethan's face went pale. "Olivia, you weren't supposed to hear that." "Oh, I'm sorry, was I just supposed to sit quietly while you plotted behind my back?" Margaret stepped forward, her eyes burning with anger. "Now, Olivia, let's not be dramatic, we were simply discussing options." "Options? I'm carrying your grandchild, and you're talking about me like I'm just a problem to be solved?" I shouted, hurt and angry. Ethan suddenly slammed his fist on the counter. "Enough, you want the truth? Fine, I never wanted this baby. Olivia, you trapped me." His words hit me like a physical blow. "Trapped you? We're married, Ethan, we talked about having kids." "No," he snapped, "you talked about it. I just nodded along to keep you happy, but I'm done pretending." Tears were streaming down my face. "So what? You want me to leave? Is that it?" Margaret's voice was cold as ice. "I think that would be best for everyone, don't you?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You can't be serious, Ethan, please tell me you don't agree with this." But the look in his eyes told me everything I needed to know. Without saying another word, I ran upstairs and started throwing things into a suitcase. As I was heading back downstairs, Ethan blocked my way. "Where do you think you're going?" he demanded. "Away from you," I spat. "Isn't that what you wanted?" He grabbed my arm, gripping it tightly. "You're not taking anything, get out now." I pulled my arm free, shocked by his aggression. "Fine, keep it all, I don't want anything from you." As I walked out the door, I heard Margaret's voice behind me. "Don't come crawling back when you realize you can't handle this on your own." The door slammed shut, and just like that, I was alone, pregnant, with nowhere to go, standing on the sidewalk. As my world fell apart around me, I realized this was only the beginning of my fight. I went to my parents' house, tears running down my face. When I knocked on the door, I barely managed to say, "Mom, Dad, I need help." They didn't hesitate to take me in. Once I settled into my old room, my mom gently asked, "Sweetie, what happened?" Through my sobs, I told them everything. My dad's face turned red with anger. "That no good son of a Jack," Mom warned, though I could see she was furious too. The next day, I called Zoe. As soon as she answered, she said, "Liv, oh my God, I'm coming over right now." When she arrived, Zoe was all business. "Okay, we need to document everything, dates, times, witnesses if possible." "But Zoe," I said, "I don't want to cause trouble, I just want to move on." She grabbed my hands. "Olivia, listen to me, this isn't just about you anymore, it's about protecting those babies." I nodded, realizing she was right. Over the next few weeks, we built a file, every nasty text, every witness to Margaret's behavior, and every example of Ethan's controlling nature. In the meantime, I threw myself into freelance work. Then one day, I got a call from a major tech company. "Miss Thompson, we'd like to offer you a contract for our rebranding project." I nearly dropped the phone. This was huge. "Yes, absolutely, thank you so much," I replied, trying to stay calm. As my belly grew, so did my determination. At my 20-week scan, the technician smiled and said, "Congratulations, it's twins." I laughed through happy tears. "Two? Oh my goodness." But my joy didn't last long. Zoe called me, her voice tense. "Liv, you need to see this," she said, and sent me a screenshot of Ethan's social media post. It read, "Heartbroken. My wife has abandoned our marriage and our unborn child. Please respect our privacy during this difficult time." I felt sick. How can he lie like this? Zoe's voice was firm. "Don't worry, we'll use this against him later." As my due date approached, I overheard my parents talking. My mom sounded worried. "Jack, what if Ethan tries to take the babies?" "Over my dead body," my dad growled. I stepped into the room. "He won't. I won't let him." The day I went into labor, I was terrified but ready. After 18 grueling hours, I heard the most beautiful sound, my daughter's cries. "Hello, Lily, hello, Rose," I whispered as I held them close. Weeks passed, and I started settling into motherhood. One night, while feeding Rose, I got a text from an unknown number. "It's Mike from Ethan's office, you need to know something." Intrigued, I called him back. "Mike, what's going on?" His voice was low. "Olivia, the company is cooking the books. Ethan's right in the middle of it. I can't be part of this anymore." I felt a mix of shock and satisfaction. Mike, I need you to tell me everything. Over the next hour, he explained the whole fraudulent scheme, and I recorded every word. The next day, I called Zoe. I've got something big, I said. When I played her the recording, her eyes widened. Olivia, this changes everything. We're not just dealing with a custody battle anymore, this is criminal. I took a deep breath. What do we do? Zoe's smile was fierce. We build an ironclad case, and then we take them down. As I looked at my sleeping daughters, a new resolve filled me. Ethan and Margaret thought they could break me, but they had no idea who they were up against. I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore, I was fighting for Lily and Rose, and I was going to win. 6 months flew by in a whirlwind of diapers, sleepless nights, and small moments of joy with my girls, but today was the day I had been preparing for. I stood outside Ethan and Margaret's house, my heart pounding. You ready? Zoe asked, adjusting her suit jacket. I nodded, taking a deep breath. Let's do this. We walked in unannounced, the twins in their stroller. The room went silent, and Ethan's face turned pale. Olivia, what are you doing here? He stammered. I smiled sweetly. Surprise. Honey, meet your daughters. Margaret stepped forward, her face twisted with anger. You have no right to be here. Zoe jumped in, her voice firm. Actually, she has every right. Ethan, you've been served. She handed him a thick envelope. As he read it, his hands shook. Divorce? Custody? Olivia, you can't be serious. I stood my ground. Oh, I'm dead serious. Every instance of your abuse, your abandonment, it's all in there. Margaret scoffed. Abuse? Don't be ridiculous. I pulled out my phone. Shall we listen to the recording of you two plotting to get rid of me again? The room erupted into chaos. Family members shouted, demanding answers. Amid the uproar, there was a knock at the door. A serious-looking man in a suit entered. Ethan Thompson? I'm Agent Carter from the FBI. We need to talk about your company's financials. Ethan's face went from pale to green. I don't know what you're talking about. I stepped forward. But I do, Agent Carter, and I have the evidence. The next few hours were a blur. Ethan was taken in for questioning. The family gathering broke apart in shock, and Margaret was left muttering excuses to people who weren't listening. Months later, I sat in the courtroom, listening to the judge's final verdict. Full custody is awarded to Olivia Thompson. Mr. Thompson, you will be held in custody pending your fraud trial. As Ethan was led away, Margaret shot me a glare that could melt steel, but I just smiled and turned away. Outside, surrounded by my parents, Zoe, and my beautiful girls, I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. It's over, I whispered. Zoe squeezed my hand. No, Liv, it's just beginning. Looking at my daughters, I knew she was right. We had a whole new life ahead of us, free from the toxicity and full of love, and I couldn't wait to start. That's the end of Olivia's journey. Now, I have a question for you. If you were in Olivia's shoes, would you have given Ethan a second chance? Or do you think cutting ties completely was the right move? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions matter. They might even help someone going through a similar situation. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more real-life dramas. Thanks for watching.